Outriders, the latest game from the company People Can Fly and Square Enix, is a looter-shooter based game with RPG elements and a dark fantasy sci-fi type story. In some ways, Outriders takes some of the best aspects of previous looter-shooter games and puts its own twist on things such as class powers, gun and gear customization with mods, and endgame PvE content in the form of expeditions, and the result is rather beautiful when it works. The game had a rather rough launch, and although the devs have been pretty open and transparent with the community, there's still quite a bit to fix. Although up to this point, as of May 2021, there's been a couple of patches and news of future ones to address some of the issues being experienced by the community.
Grand Marshal's got us.
Good to see you again.
Go home. You're drunk. How the hell does the
As most gamers, I typically notice the graphics and the sound in any game I pick up. It's surprising how much sound cues make a difference. The way the loud bang of a shotgun or a legendary assault rifle gunning in full automatic sounds. Or the sound of a crackling lightning from the Trickster's temporal blade. Or maybe even the molten sound effects from the Pyromancer eruption ability. All of these aspects come together well for Outriders in the sound department. The graphics are also great to look at in ultra settings on the PC. Unfortunately, I had to run the game on low to medium due to a bug for NVIDIA graphic cards, which was later patched on. You can tell a lot of time went into the game with the finer details around the map, all the way from the boxes of ammo and loot around the map, and also the foliage and shrubbery of the strange planet Enoch. And even those exploding bodies after bursting them into flames or impaling them with a piece of earth. Needless to say, the graphics are great. The armor and the weapons also look better the further you get into the game. Legendaries especially have a unique look to them, and to be honest, I spent quite a bit of time in the menus inspecting my sweet legendaries. At the start of the game, you're slowly introduced to the story, the characters, and the overall gameplay mechanics for Outriders. You get a very familiar feeling with a mix of Destiny and Borderlands, and a mix of even Mass Effect RPG elements. Once you're adjusted with the shoot and take cover mechanics and choosing a class to play, you start to delve into the various skills and talent tree for your chosen class. Now, there are 4 classes to choose from: the Devastator, Pyromancer, Trickster, and the Technomancer. For my initial playthrough, I chose to pick the Trickster, which is more of a run and gun, get behind enemy lines type of playstyle, and for my second playthrough, I gave the Pyromancer a try. I really enjoyed the movement abilities paired with a shotgun and the powerful twisted round ability from the insane damage and quick takedowns from the Trickster. Zipping in and out of battle, using shields and lightning type of skills felt really great. Again, when they worked. As much as I enjoyed the Trickster, unfortunately there was a lot of bugs with the class, and during my first playthrough, this caused many issues, especially in multiplayer sessions. And although these things have been worked on in the past, at that time, it had me make the decision to give the Pyromancer a try. Now, the Pyromancer is a mid-range, fire-slinging maniac, with your only way of healing is to have as many enemies as possible burning in literal fire. Literally, fire everywhere. The other classes available in the Outriders are the Devastator, a close-range class meant to be a bit of a tank and frontliner for the group. The Technomancer, the long-range support type class that also uses turrets that can taunt enemies and even freeze them. Let's not forget the Technomancer's minigun and rocket launcher. In Outriders, all the classes have a different playstyle, and you just have to find out what works best for you, as they're all very fun and viable in the game. And not to mention, they all come with their own skill tree to customize your class and gameplay even further. The Outriders story is a dark fantasy themed plot that had a mix of the TV show The 100 in the sense that the humans had to find a new planet to live on and face full front the surprises the new planet has to throw at them. A group of humans escaping the collapse of Earth to a planet called Enoch in hopes of starting over and building a new life on a new planet. With this, you find out quickly that there is more to meets the eye with the planet Enoch. There's some big baddies lurking around, not only mutated monsters from the storm known as the Anomaly, but also superpower infused beings called Altered. And you happen to be one of those badass Altered dudes. You gained your powers after the first days on Enoch, being caught in an anomaly storm where countless others died, but for some reason, you managed to gain superpowers. After eventually waking up from cryo-sleep, you wake up to a bunch of fighting between the humans that were left and some rebels. Along the way, you run into some altered beings, good and bad, and set on a path to figure out what the hell just happened to the plans of setting up on a new planet. Now, without spoiling anything, the story starts off well, but for me, I felt like the story was a bit rushed at the end, and I had a lot of questions left after the last cutscene. Maybe this will continue in future DLC or expansions, but it looks like we're gonna have to wait for a while because Outriders is not a live service game, despite the fact that it requires you to be online to play, even solo. This means that updates or new content will come out through future expansions most likely. This leads into the next point, Endgame. Outriders is focused primarily on RPG elements as well as PvE content to satisfy the replayability of the game. This is mainly done through what's called expeditions. Once you've completed the story, you're instructed that you can go back and play the side missions or anything you may have missed during your first playthrough. For the most part though, most players will be spending their time in either solo or co-op play inside one of the 14 different expeditions. Expeditions are basically divided into portions of a map where players will fight off hordes and hordes of enemies until eventually reaching a boss fight, all the while trying to do it as fast as possible due to a timer, where the faster time grants better rewards. Each expedition can also give better rewards and provide more difficulty based on the challenge tier you choose. This replaces world tier mechanic during the story mode and adjusts enemy difficulty from tier 1 to tier 15. On top of that, when completing expeditions, the player is rewarded with a currency called Drop Pod Resources, which can then be used to buy endgame gear in the shop as well as unlocking the most challenging expedition later on. I found these to be very fun with the co-op play compared to trying it solo. It was most enjoyable when my friends and I tried various builds and synergies between our 3 chosen classes and the gun mods. Now, due to the rough launch but overall enjoyable gameplay, I would have to give this game a 7 out of 10. We'll have to see how People Can Fly handle the rough launch and how the rest of the endgame pans out. With over 70 hours into Outriders, I can say that it's a fun game to play when things are working okay. It's been especially enjoyable once the crossplay was fixed and I was able to join my friends. This was when you really got to see the synergy between the multiple classes in the game, the skills, and the mods working together to take down the big baddies. However, with the limited endgame content currently available, the hours of gameplay after the story are limited. But that's not always a bad thing. Every game doesn't have to be a constant, never-ending grind to the top. I definitely recommend you grab some friends and give Outriders a try, or play it solo and explore Enoch at your own leisure. Thanks for watching the video, and if you had a chance to play Outriders yourself, feel free to let us know what you think in the comment section below.